Hey Em,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and so nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
And so your brand is Just Ask Em,
Yes.
but your name's Emily.
Yes.
Do you go by Em or Emily? What's the?
And
Okay,
it's easier for people to remember.
okay. I mean, Emily's not too hard, but
Right.
I'll grant you that. That's fair enough. Okay, good. I think where I want to start today is you are a very energetic person.
Yes.
You do a lot of stuff, a lot of different stuff, which always it appeals to me, is always interesting to me because diversity of experience leads to much more learning and much more growing. And so your curiosity about doing lots of things, where does that come from? Is it something you always had or something you developed?
You know, I'm going to say it's something, yes, I've always had. I think it was a matter of discovering it and understanding it. Even to your point when you were on my podcast, as far as like the understanding that some things can take 2 years, like they can take 10 years. So when I was in school, I was a very average student, but I knew I wasn't dumb. And fast forward to what I know now, I had a very different learning style. You know, when you're in public schools, that's not always dissected, you know, maybe like certain other private schools as an example. So with that being said, probably, you know, teen years, early 20s, I really started to explore and understand myself, get to know myself. I'm like, okay, I know things, but I process them differently. How can I turn this into a superpower? So I would say probably the last few years more than ever, I've self-educated. I've accepted things about me. I've become aware. I've learned them and then maximized them. And my podcast is the topics we don't speak on enough. So I have anxiety, OCD. I'm particular. I like trying to be a perfectionist and controlling things. So what I did was I channeled that into my business, you know, trying to be a difference for others, explain my experiences. So if it helps other people where it's normal, but then again, what is normal? So kind of just learning how to, I turn it into a superpower. That diversity of experience and education gives me a very well-rounded confidence walking in almost any room.
I resonate with that.
Yeah.
So you said it was around your teen years. So did something happen then that made you say, I need to work myself out. I need to understand myself better to move forward?
With my upbringing, I was the baby of 3 girls in a Hispanic family. We did grow up in the West Side, so we were protected like the president's children. And on top of that, we grew up very Christian, very old school Pentecostal. And the reason those details are so important is because, like you know, upbringing, what you learn in your earlier years sticks with you. So because life was like that for us, we did miss out on a lot. You know, we were restricted from certain things in school or social activities or trips. And no fault of my parents. They were young parents doing the best that they could. But the downfall of that was it delayed us in social interactions, communication, you know, knowing when to say yes, knowing when to say no. So when I did kind of hit those teen years and I started to be surrounded by, like, you know, different stages of life and different people, it helped me realize, ooh, I'm still immature or behind in some areas in life. So I said, how do I not rush this, but kind of power train it ahead to kind of keep up in a way so I'm not completely oblivious in certain rooms or around people that I'm in. So yeah, around those teen years, I was like, there's something about me, but I just don't fully like know yet. So you just go for it. Now I'm quite the traveler, you know, with people or without, but like we just were previously explaining, I feel like traveling in itself opens your eyes to so much, you know, whether it's culture, traditions, ways of life, you know. So that was probably one of the bigger things that made me a little bold to learn about myself, was like, let me get out of Buffalo, you know, let me explore some things, go different places, be around different peoples, and go against the grain of what my upbringing was. But, you know, yeah.
amazing. And again, I'm always just impressed when people have that awareness young and look at their lives and say, oh, wait a minute, like I didn't create this. Like it's been created for me and it doesn't necessarily feel quite right for me. And I would like to understand that. And it's amazing because it often takes people something jarring, something significant to really to instill that in them. So that's wonderful. And I also that you also realized that it was going to take time. That was something when I was young, I had the same sense that I know I need to work this out, but I also know it's going to take time. And that's really important as well, because growth does take time, learning does take time, especially about yourself and how you can show up in the world. And so congratulations, really. And clearly it's a journey you're still very much on. And so talk about it today, like how are you honoring it today and continuing to expand?
Well, so one of your points you just said, definitely in the earlier stages of this journey, it definitely was anxious for me. Because I'm like, I always say I'm the most complex, simple person in the sense of I'm patient with so many things, and then others I am just not. But I think it's because I don't like change or big decisions. But once I get through the beginning stages, then I can adapt well. But it's always those early stages where I'm just like, what's happening? So it was very anxious early on until probably not that long ago. I had to understand, okay, this isn't gonna, no matter how efficient I am, how much I know, or how organized I am, it's not going to happen overnight. So I would say now I'm honoring it the most by my girlfriend. She gave me a ring that says, just breathe. And genuinely having that understanding of when to move and not to move so much. Having the patience and grace with yourself of, I didn't figure it out today, and that is okay. You know, just being okay with the stages that happen naturally. You know, not necessarily making it happen when you want it to happen, because then at times you may rush the process. And then what ends up happening is you have to go back to really sift through it and be like, okay, I missed this because I was trying to rush over it too quick. So I would say that's probably one of the clearest, stages that I'm in right now, is just be patient. If it happens, amazing. If it does not happen, it's not meant to happen right now, but it doesn't mean it's not ever going to happen. So yeah.
And the thing with trying things and them not happening, like whatever the case, you still got further. Right? You still learn from it. The next time you try something, you'll have that information and you can add it on, and that is the point of life, or or the structure of life. It's okay, you learn this, you're going to take it into the next experience, at least if you're paying attention, and clearly you are. But let's touch on the breathing thing. Breathing is the most important thing any of us do, and I would argue one of the most powerful tools we have, and something that, again, people don't often think about too much, but your breathing has the power to regulate you in any situation.
Literally.
And so you've just been given that ring. Is it something that you do practice and you have thought about before, or it's something you're just starting to think about now?
Starting to think, because there's some times I'm in the car and I'm like, did I just forget to breathe for a few seconds? I'm like, holy cow, relax, So yes, I do this Bible app every morning, and it's brings you maybe through 4 to 5 pages, and it has music in the back. And sometimes what it says is inhale and reflect, and then exhale, and then kind of remember what you just learned. So yeah, but it does make all the difference I feel like sometimes I'm like a genius, the ADHD, I don't know, where my mind doesn't turn off. My creative ideas are endless, but that's good and bad until you learn how to regulate it. So for me, I think that's the phase I'm in of these ideas are probably never going to stop, and it's great and it's amazing. But how do I regulate it in a sense where it's not making me miss out on sleep, forgetting to breathe, forgetting to relax, So how it's a mind thing, literally mind over matter, in the sense of how can you control it where it's not consuming you, and then you can still spread it in a healthy manner. Also in a manner that others understand, and not only the way you understand. Because sometimes brains like ours, they're very overstimulating and we understand it, but then it can come off as too much for another person because it's too much information at once. So being mindful of that as well. I've worked on my speaking, pausing, breathing, listening before responding. So it's a lot. It does not happen overnight. I'm sure maybe some people who watch my podcast will notice I have to slow my brain when I'm interviewing or talking, because yes, I have a lot of energy, but I have to contain it so it's clear and understandable for the audience. So a lot of moving parts.
It's very clear for what it's worth. Well, breathing, I'll say, is something that most people do every single moment of every single day. Mm-hmm. But the only time you ever really think about it or reflect on it is when it's stretched.
Yeah.
And you're panicked or you're whatever it is. And yes. That's a tragedy because it really can be so powerful. So I just encourage you to follow that thread. Mm-hmm. I would argue that of the many things I've learned over the years, learning to breathe mm-hmm. is easily like top 3, mm-hmm. Maybe even number 1.
Right.
I use it in every moment of every day, very consciously. So I love that. But you also, let's go into you practicing communication essentially, mm-hmm. and how to connect with people and how to translate information. And that comes from experience. Mm-hmm. And specifically, again, the more experience, more diverse experience you have, the more practice you have, mm-hmm. all of those skills. Can you speak a bit to that and how that's been really helpful in your journey? Or
mm-hmm. Absolutely. And just even going, you reminded me of a previous point I wanted to point on, and that's the key to listening, because it allows your brain to process it, and then it circles back to remind you in the right time. The failures and trying things. I used to have such a negative outlook to that, and then, like you said, what you don't realize is that's actually data and research to almost perfect your craft and strengthen it. Which goes into my point of, before I kind of was fully knowledgeable of what is it about me that if I'm not overstimulated, I lose the interest or attention on something. So a lot of my work experience and journey was at a job, maybe a year, maybe 6 months, maybe 3 months. And I had to identify like what is going on. And I used to look at it like almost to a point like what's wrong with me or like what's going on. Fast forward to this point, I actually wouldn't change any part of that journey for me. Because when I've worked almost every industry you can think of, like legit, like customer service, front desk, collections, the UPS store, medical assistant, dental assistant, design consultant. I mean, and I've served at an authentic Chinese restaurant, and that's like a fraction of them. Fast forward, I'm a personal assistant at a therapy office currently. But the beauty of all of that was, over the years, I've had the bad attitude as the employee. I would take things personally. I would get super offended. And I actually just spoke on that not too long ago, as far as, elder people, they speak their mind. But it's beautiful because it's so beneficial. And I've had people along the way kind of just put me in my place, well, you shouldn't take that personally. Well, if you're the worker, that's what you signed up for. And so many of those small pieces of advice changed my perspective of, oh my God, that's right. I'm supposed to be the professional. I'm, the employee, and you never know. And the medical assistant part, the patient care, opened my eyes to the empathy of people, where a lot of the time when people are miserable or have a bad attitude, or they're just coming at you, barking, it's not even you. It's the day they've had. I've had people in the healthcare office, they would tell me what they're going through, and I'm like, okay, it's understandable. So it's, your mind is open to these, other case scenarios of, that's a valid point to not be in the brightest mood. And then you kind of open your mind to, how can I make their day better? And it's not impossible because I've done it. So when you accomplish that, you're like, okay, sometimes it's not that complicated. Some people just need a smile, or, hey, it's going to be okay. Well, what can I do for you in this situation? So I think there's such a beauty in being mindful of that. And, you know, all those experiences put together helps me address people how they need to be addressed. Because it's in speaking with people or conversation or body language or communication or, you know, the purpose of the event that might be going on that you kind of identify, okay, I can be a little more relaxed. Okay, I should be professional. Everything's like an impression or almost like an interview. So I think that's definitely one of the strengths in the variety of experiences is like, I can identify who I'm talking to in the first few minutes, and that's how I approach them. And then, you know, it makes them comfortable because a lot of the time you can be unapproachable, which can be stemmed from your background or your experience or where you are now. But there was always this one thing that stuck with me. It was my Bible plan again, but it was like a woman empowering thing. And it said, never forget the people who are behind you. Don't forget the people who are at your level, and then learn from the people who are, you know, I don't want to say above, but maybe more experienced or elevated than where you are now. And I think that's a perfect explanation of balance because you started out at one point, you know, so always being mindful of the people who are starting out, people who are on your same level, and never forgetting that there's always room for improvement and elevation. So I know that was a lot. There's always a method to the madness.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. Learning from experience is key, and older folks have been around for a while, and they certainly have some wisdom to offer, so that's nice. But the one big thing I'll take from there is that you realize that while you have your personality, which you spent a lot of time understanding and how you are, you then went a step further to say, it's not just about understanding myself and my personality, it's about being able to read a room, about meeting someone and understanding them through their body language, their tone, their experiences, and meeting them in that moment. And that's a great skill again to have, and I would argue one of the best skills anyone can have, especially in the modern world, is to be able to connect with people. So again, great one to keep practicing and developing. I certainly do it every day. So then you must know a lot of people who aren't conscious of this stuff, right? Who aren't navigating their life and thinking, oh, you know, how do I feel about this? How can I improve myself in this situation? How can I do this or do that? To those people, what do you think they're missing out on by not paying attention and not delving into those opportunities to grow?
Slowing down. I've definitely have developed a heightened awareness to the people who are not because of how much I've learned. But I also think that's why I'm so passionate about turning it into a business to help others become mindful of it. But my gosh, if I had to sum it up, slowing down, because the teacher's advice from like school, well, there's just certain ones that always stick with you. I always used to have a teacher. Slow down, because when you rush, you make careless mistakes. She would tell me that. I was like, okay. I said, well, maybe let me apply this. And there was jobs I would, work at, and I said, just slow down, like do it right. Because I said, when you rush, then you have to go back and correct it. And you end up spending more time correcting it. So, and I'm very efficient, I'm sure, as you can tell. And I myself had to tell myself, there's a difference between efficiency and rushing. So whenever I find myself tripping over my feet or okay, now I'm forgetting details or missing stuff, I take a step back and then I slow down. I take that moment as a learning lesson because it makes you aware, and then it makes you mindful. I think unfortunately this world of social media doesn't help that too much in the sense of everything so instant gratification. Well, I didn't get a response. Well, I seen that they read the message, and it's like, remember the days where we had to wait till after 7 p.m. to use the phone? So, and I drive a lot throughout the day. People's driving, you literally don't realize how much you can learn through a person's driving personally about them. Your level of courteous, your level of patience, your rushing. And I actually, I kind of have fun with that because if not, road rage is a thing. But yeah, there's just so many aspects that people can help themselves. And I think slowing down breathing is such a powerful couple things that they can do to self-diagnose. You know, I'm sure people wake up every day, we're like, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And just sitting, just being, let the thoughts catch up, you know, figure it out. Well, I did it this way. What haven't I done? So definitely slowing down.
So there's an idea what sounds to me is like people aren't curious enough. Like people, you know,
they might be fearful to be curious about what they'll find out. Yeah,
it takes courage to be curious, and so would you agree that there's kind of a lack of curiosity in some people to really ask questions, or even have they asked the questions to really listen to the answers and respond to them?
Absolutely. And I people might notice by now I'm very passionate. I speak up a lot about things because it was literally me. So I'm very passionate about it. I'm confident in my answers because I know what way not to be. Now I've studied the wrong way, and now I'm turning it into how can I do this a better and right way. And that's one thing. I love that you're starting this project on Buffalo because it's literally the perfect place to start it. I say that to say Buffalo's the city of good neighbors, and but we're very segregated. We are not a melting pot of culture that we could be. There is so much creativity here, so much creativity. But to your point of between pride, defensiveness, and a certain mindset here, I do believe it prevents a lot of collaboration, or simply, hey, I don't know this. It looks like you have an area of expertise in this. How can you help me? Maybe I can help you in something down the line. It sounds very easy. It's not. I get it. You know, if you're starting out or putting yourself in different rooms for the first time, absolutely. But you literally will never know until you try. Get past the fear, because I'm sure there's other things you pass the fear of doing because they're easier. But anything worth it is not easy. So put yourself in those rooms, get past the uncomfortable feeling. I like to say, because it's very peaceful for me, get some coffee by yourself, have a meal by yourself. It is actually very empowering and very peaceful. But gosh, I think if more people tapped into that, and it could be something very powerful. It could. So yes, curiosity is a good thing. Ask questions.
I agree. And I also like the idea of doing things by yourself.
Yes.
I've spent a lot of my time doing things by myself through my life, and it's through those experiences that I've learned some of the most significant stuff. And you get tested in ways that you're not when you have the security of others around. So I highly encourage that as well. And so, yeah, I agree. Buffalo is the city of good neighbors, and it is the perfect city for me to be building Q and this show, sure, but Q in general. But yeah, that there is some segregation, and there is this at times, you know, I do this, you do that, and we kind of stay separate. But my experience is that it is shifting a lot. There are a lot of groups and initiatives. One of them I mentioned is the Buffalo Open Coffee Club. Have you ever been?
Is that the Wonder Brink now?
No.
Okay,
So
okay.
Tuesday mornings. I think you should come to this. I think you'd really enjoy it. Tuesday mornings. Next one's tomorrow. It's at 7:30 till 9 in Seneca One. It's early, but it's normally on average about 50 people.
Okay,
and all entrepreneurs and different folks from around the community, and it's been growing and growing. And it's just, I have benefited so much from that group, made so many friends there and connections and partners through all of this. So it's just one great example of how this city is kind of coming together. And I'm part of a few groups actually are in that same vein. So I do feel very optimistic about it. And so with that, like, you know, the world is the world right now. But I actually, like, of all the places for me to be, I'm happy to be in Buffalo in this country, because I think it has an opportunity to be a shining example of what an American city can do in this world, in this moment. Has some hurdles to get over. But what are your thoughts on that, about Buffalo's place in the world, in this country?
I always say, like, I was born and raised in Buffalo. I've done my share of traveling, haven't really spent a lot of time out of Buffalo. And Buffalo, it's a gray day. I get it, the weather, that's probably one of the biggest struggles, but Buffalo is home. So like when people say we don't have we have traffic or this, no, we do not. Buffalo is so convenient. Buffalo is very easy to survive. Like, I can pay my own bills in this economy. Is it a struggle sometimes? Yes, but I'm okay. And that's why I try to be even more mindful of is like, I get in my shower every morning and I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Like, thank you. Because it's like, there are people even in our city who do not have those things. And I'm like, complaining and entitlement should be non-existent when people are waking up hoping their homes are not going to have a missile come through them. Just saying, there's so many things that we have access to and we are blessed with here quite easily, even in comparison to other states within the United States. Because, LA, New York City, that's a whole different kind of hustle. So Buffalo is balance. I do feel blessed to just have a comfortable spot here. I just couldn't imagine waking up in places like where wars are happening. Like, what does that even feel like or like look like? Hey, I have to go to the grocery store, but a war is happening. So it's a very scary thing. I think one of the biggest things I would hope for the world is COVID kind of came and passed. Maybe didn't help as much as it could have, but just being mindful, like, if you are in a safe place, like, we're still so blessed. If you're not in such a safe place, just know there are people who are grateful, where we are. And if there's anything we can do to save you or spread hope, even if it's through a screen, people are praying for you. Keep the faith, keep the hope. Everything comes to an end and this too shall pass. So just remaining grateful, because it could always be a lot worse. And even if you're having a bad day, it's not to dismiss what you're going through, but I'm sure if you heard the next person's story, you'd be like, okay, I'm good. So mindset and perspective, so Buffalo is, and to your point, like even when I did the podcast interview with you since then, absolutely big shift in Buffalo. And I'm loving it slowly but surely, but slow and steady wins. But like I said, I've seen it firsthand because I've been here my whole life. Compared to like the 90s and the early 2000s, definitely a lot has shifted, and it's refreshing. It's hopeful.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be here, and even the weather. I look like perspective is everything, which you mentioned in there. And to me, every day I wake up here, it's different. And
even within the day.
Exactly, and sometimes it's extreme blizzards, which is wild to experience. But it is an adventure if you're looking at it in the right way. And again, it sounds to me like that's the way you look at life. Like everything you do is part of the story, it's part of the journey, part of the adventure, and it's like less about, oh, I have this one aspiration. It's more about, this is the kind of life I want to build, and this is how I want to feel. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely, because it's one thing I've learned is you either crumble under the pressure or the negativity, or you just keep fighting it, moving forward, even if it's slower on some days. But as long as you keep moving forward, just don't stop. Like, you have to be slightly delusional these days with some things, but it works. In a weird way, it works. If you feel like you're getting too low, we got Canada 10 minutes away. Like, who has another country that close? Go to Canada, book a little staycation, short week vacation in a tropical place, recharge yourself, whatever it looks like. Do what you have to for yourself, but stay afloat. Yeah, make the best of it. Because like I said, like what we're complaining about, somebody would feel like they won the lottery. And you know what I mean? So it's anything you do, there's literally always going to be pros and cons. It's just how you look at it and how you handle it. That's it.
Absolutely. And to put it bluntly, suffering is part of life. And
it builds character.
and to be surprised when it happens, or fight it when it happens.
Yeah.
That I think is something that I had to learn not to do, and to feel it and to embrace it and to see that. And again, that took me a lot of practice. But it is hard. Life is very hard, and Well, I think if you look at those moments with just as much value as the good ones, then you're going to live a much better life, because you're kind of understanding the value in every moment, as opposed to just seeking these good ones and trying to avoid the other ones, because you never will.
That wouldn't be reality.
It's not reality. So it sounds like, again, you have a nice sense of that, and just an enjoyment of life, and you said maybe a bit of delusion, which in a way,
a healthy amount, very small dose.
Yeah, you kind of like we used to say in movies, you suspend to the disbelief, right? You know it's not real, but you kind of just, it is real. I'm pretending, and now it's like, you know it's real, but I'm just pretending it's not a little bit, just to get me through the day, and so I can focus on the things that are important for me. And I guess I'll say that in context to you mentioning, however bad your day is, to someone worse off, right? It doesn't discount from that person having a bad day at all. Like everyone has their own experience, and we're all surviving here,
right?
And we're all trying to do it. And I guess just being graceful with yourself, and giving yourself space to understand that life is tough. You will go through stuff, and that's okay. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel sad and worried. And
that too. Normalizing, if you're not good, that is okay for one day. Pick yourself back up, but it is okay to not, no, I'm good. That's not good.
Yeah, and it feels like more and more people are kind of jumping on that bandwagon, which is nice. Okay, so we're actually at time, very quickly, but we've got the last few minutes. Is there anything else you want to share before we get finished, or if you want to ask me a question, up to you.
Suffering is empowerment. Let's just say that. If every day was good, or every moment was good, it wouldn't be real. You know what I mean? So, and that's, if you could figure out the balance of life, you've learned one of the most important keys. So everything is balanced. So with the good has to come the bad, because if it's always good, how can you appreciate the good without the bad? But question for you. So like I said, I kind of had you on my podcast early on. From that point until now, it looks like you've been very proactive with this project. So at this point, how do you feel about it all?
Blessed and in bliss. Every moment of every day is bliss to me these days. And with Q, sure, but also with myself, I've been, as I've been growing this company, I've been growing myself.
That's good.
And been very successful, and I've come a long way. And Q specifically has come a huge distance. And as you know, you're going to be attending Qualia next month.
Yep.
That is the signature Q experience, and will really give people a really good understanding of what Q is and what I'm trying to do with it. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm very focused on that right now. I'm prepping for that. I feel it's really wonderful, and it's like, this is what I do now. I've been working this my whole life in many ways, and I found it a couple of years ago, and I've been building it since. But every day I get more and more affirmations, feel more confident and comfortable, and not only necessarily with what I'm doing, but also with where the world is at.
Yeah.
And in this moment, I don't think it's an accident that I'm building this at this time.
Yeah.
So I feel wonderful, lots of progress, and it just continues to be, and I am acutely focused on growing Q.
That's good. And like I said, the most beautiful thing out of that is like even applying it to yourself, because a project like this isn't easy. So the nice thing is the benefit of your learning and growing through it too. And I think that is the energy and power that's going to keep you, making this thing global. So good for you.
Absolutely. And that's the core of all of this, is learning from experience and people. The whole thing is all about that, and what I'm trying to encourage and instill in people and create opportunities for. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So
Thank you
nice
for
to
having
talk.
me.